Right, okay, like you, I occasionally scroll through Instagram, and yesterday something came up in my feed from Rick Beato. Obviously you've heard of Rick, guitar player, producer, YouTuber, these kind of things. And he was talking about this thing that he described as repeatable piano fingerings, and it took me kind of a while to figure out what he was talking about. And so I wanted to kind of expand on this and maybe decode Rick a little bit, so that hopefully you and me can get something a little more out of this post of his. First thing that he shows is what he calls an F triad, and he says C through F or something like that, and he does this. Now before you get to that stage, what you need to know is, so you have a triad, right? A major triad in this case is made up of 3 notes: the root, the third, and the fifth. Now what he is doing is arranging it so that you've got 1 note on 1 string, 2 notes on the next string, then you move that whole shape. This is what I think he's talking about. You see this as one kind of shape, like that movement, 1, 2, like that, and then you just move up 2 frets, and you're repeating the same thing up an octave, and then you move up 3 frets. And because of the geometry of a guitar fretboard, you get that kind of thing going on. And it's a little bit easier to visualize if you just think about it as this kind of chunk of information, right? So on the way down, he's not doing the same thing as the way up, so he's viewing these chunks the same. And then we're going to go. So that descending part is a little bit trickier. Just a minor correction here to add in. At the top of my arpeggios, I'm not doing exactly the same thing as Rick, so you could obviously do it like this if you want. So I think he's going. You have that little F in there. I'm going. So that's the difference. Versus. That's one little correction. So the thing that you should probably be aware of though is that starting on the 5th, sorry, not the root, we're starting on the 2nd inversion, right? Because you'd have 1 inversion, you'd have like this. The first inversion would be A, C, F, and the second inversion would be C, F, A. You're doing like inversions. You're going, look up inversions if you want to know more about this kind of stuff. So logically then it makes sense to work on the other kind of 2 things. So you could start off on the root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th. And these other fingerings are a little bit less comfortable in some ways, but that's the idea. Okay, so you get that little shape, and then you repeat that up here, and then repeat up here. Okay, so that's the F major in root position triad. Okay, so we got one other one, and then we got this second version. Okay, and then what about we've got one starting from the third, right? So you want third, fifth, root. So that's kind of our what it's going to look like. So we start here, then we move to here, then we move to here. Okay, and descending on that is really quite tricky because you get a big stretch. So 5th fret, 3rd fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 10th fret, 10th fret, 8th fret, 13. Okay, so that's F major, the 3 inversions of it in this kind of thing that Rick Beato is talking about, where you've got repeatable kind of chunks. So you go 1 string, 1 note per string, 2 notes, 1, 2, 1, and you see the root is moving here. The 3rd, you get this. And then the 5th, you'd get. So that's part 1 of what he's talking about. The next thing he said was you could do this with a minor triad. So I think it makes sense to actually do that with the same F minor instead of F major. So we just did F major, didn't we? So let's do F minor. So the only difference is going to be we get a minor 3rd instead of a major 3rd. So you get F minor starting from the root. That's our pattern, right? Root, 3rd, 5th. Root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th. Or major. Then the 3rd, what do we want? We want the 3rd, which is the flat 3rd, yeah, so A flat, 5th, root. So that's our shape here. So up 2 frets, and then again, so big stretches here. So that, I don't know that that would fit into your playing in a massively useful way, but it's worth practicing just for the sake of it anyway. And then our version starting, the second inversion starting from the 5th, like Beato uses, might be the easiest one to play, to be honest. So you get this shape, 8th fret, 8th fret, 11th fret, then shift up 2, shift up 3. Okay, but he actually does that with an E minor. Okay, so you could do this kind of in every key if you found yourself wanting to do more of this. And then we've got one starting from the root. Right, okay, and then he says, so that's major and minor, right? He says we could combine these two, and he does it saying that he's playing an E flat chord. So I'm playing a C minor underneath this just to show you the idea that it kind of could work in a lot of different ways. So he joins up an E flat in second inversion. So you've got a B flat, an E flat, and a G. And then a D minor in second inversion. So you get that. So we go from the 6th fret to the 6th fret to the G on the 10th fret, then 7th fret, 7th fret, 10. And then we go back to E flat on the, and then we start our E flat again from the D string. So you get this. You get this thing in total. B flat, E flat, G, A, D, F, then B flat, E flat, G, A, D, F. So all together. And if we wanted to repeat that, we could try a different inversion. So we get an E flat, right, like this, and then a D, and then an E flat starting here. Could be a really useful little thing. Last thing he plays is a mixture of two things. So he plays a G minor like this. So we start off with the normal repetition thing that we've been doing. So second inversion. And then he jumps to the 5th here. So you get quite a nice way to play that G minor. So we're taking that principle, so just move the same shape up 2, and then instead of that, we're going to play here. And then he plays a D in that same way. You see, you've got a D, starting from the root, and then instead of carrying on the pattern, he goes. So I think that's a way to sort of decode what's going on. What we're talking about is having a triad spread across, so 1 on the E string, then 2 on the A string, and then you jump that whole pattern up 2 frets and 2 strings for that geometrical symmetry, and then you jump that thing up again 3 frets. And you get that geometrical pattern going on, and it makes it kind of a little bit easier, I think, to systematize these arpeggios. Not super easy to play them, but slightly easier to visualize them. So again, here, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G, C. And then the one that he's favoring is this kind of second inversion where you get the 5th, root 3rd. And if you wanted to minorize that, that would be a really good little bit of exercise. Whoops. or do it in F like he started to do it. You're going to have to figure out what works for you fingering wise. Maybe consider using your pinky quite a lot. Then the minor. Then what do we want? The E. Then combining E flat major, and so we're going like this, from E flat second inversion to D minor second inversion. Then we're just moving up one fret and starting the whole idea again. It's got a really cool sound. A really useful lesson. I've just wanted to try and decode what was going on there. So think about, you're just moving these shapes in that way that is kind of uniform to make it a bit easier to systematize this stuff. That's a little bit of Rick Beato decoded. Let me know if this was at all helpful, and let me know if you want me to do more of this in the comments. I'll catch you in another video soon. Patreon will be where you can get the worksheet for this. I'll catch you in another video soon, using the helix there. Cheers!